If someone had to bet everything, their money, their life, on who will become the 2025 Formula One World Champion, there's only one name they'd whisper: Max Verstappen. It sounds impossible. The math doesn't add up. The pressure is crushing. And yet, something changed. Verstappen isn't just racing anymore. He's hunting. And today, we'll explore why, despite all odds, Max Verstappen might be on the verge of one of the most legendary comebacks in Formula One history. Let's look back at the greatest turnarounds in history, from remarkable to impossible, and see what they can tell us about Verstappen's chances today. Sebastian Vettel, 2012. It all began with another Red Bull driver, Sebastian Vettel. In 2012, halfway through the season, Vettel was third in the standings, 44 points behind Fernando Alonso. Everyone thought the title was Ferrari's to lose, but Vettel refused to give up. He unleashed a stunning run of 4 consecutive victories across Asia, in Singapore, Japan, Korea, and India, and suddenly, the impossible was possible again. The final race in Brazil was chaos: rain, crashes, and a damaged car. Yet Vettel clawed his way from the midfield to 6th, just enough to steal the championship by 3 points. It was proof that persistence and belief can bend destiny. Kimi Raikkonen, 2007. 5 years earlier, another comeback shocked the world. Kimi Raikkonen, calm and emotionless as ever, started the 2007 season strong, but soon fell 18 points behind Lewis Hamilton, a rookie leading an all-out war inside McLaren. As chaos erupted within the team, the Spygate scandal, internal fights between Hamilton and Alonso, Raikkonen stayed silent and struck back. Wins in Spa, China, and Brazil turned the tables. When the dust settled, Kimi had done the unthinkable, winning the world title by 1 single point. He didn't talk much. He just let the scoreboard speak. Nelson Piquet, 1981 and 1983. Go back even further, and you'll find Nelson Piquet, a man who made comebacks his specialty. In 1981, he chased down Carlos Reutemann, who seemed unstoppable mid-season. Through relentless determination, Piquet clawed his way to the finale in Las Vegas and snatched the crown by just 1 point, collapsing from exhaustion as he crossed the line. Then, in 1983, history repeated itself. Alain Prost looked destined to become France's first world champion, until Piquet won back-to-back races in Monza and Brands Hatch, forcing a final showdown in South Africa. Prost's engine blew, and Piquet finished third to take his second title. Some called it luck, others called it genius. Either way, he was always there when opportunity struck. Keke Rosberg, 1982. The year in between. Piquet's titles was pure madness. In 1982, tragedy and turmoil defined the season, with drivers killed, injured, and teams in chaos. Amid the unpredictability, Keke Rosberg quietly collected points. He won only 1 race all season, but when every other contender fell apart, Rosberg's consistency crowned him champion by just 5 points. It wasn't dominance, it was survival. A reminder that sometimes the world title doesn't go to the fastest, but to the one who endures the storm. James Hunt, 1976. Then came the most dramatic story of them all. In 1976, James Hunt went from underdog to legend. His rival, Niki Lauda, was dominating until the fiery crash at the Nürburgring nearly took his life. Lauda's heroic return just 6 weeks later inspired millions. But Hunt wasn't done. Stripped of points by a protest, he found himself 17 points behind with only 3 races left. He responded like a man possessed, winning in Canada and the US, forcing a final battle in the stormy chaos of Japan. When Lauda withdrew for safety, Hunt's own race fell apart with a puncture. Yet somehow, he fought back to finish third, taking the championship by 1 single point. It was the stuff of legend, later immortalized in Rush. John Surtees, 1964. One of the most overlooked miracles in Formula One history. John Surtees in 1964. At mid-season, he was 20 points down, hopelessly behind Jim Clark and Graham Hill. But then fate, and Ferrari, began to turn the tide. Clark's Lotus started failing, while Surtees fought back with wins at the Nürburgring and Monza, cutting the gap to just a handful of points before the Mexican finale. In that last race, chaos struck again. Hill was taken out by Surtees' teammate, and Clark's engine died on the final lap. Surtees crossed the line second, exactly what he needed to become world champion by 1 point. The only man in history to win world titles on 2 wheels and 4, and a comeback written in pure racing destiny. If that story doesn't inspire Max Verstappen, nothing will. However, Max Verstappen can't afford to relax. History shows that not every great comeback succeeds. Some champions have mastered the nerves, defied the odds, and turned near defeat into eternal victory. Take 2016, for example. Nico Rosberg began the season with 4 straight victories, building a 43-point lead over Lewis Hamilton. But that advantage quickly disappeared after a series of clumsy clashes, bad starts, and nervous mistakes. By the summer break, Hamilton had completely overturned the deficit. Rosberg's title dream seemed finished until he regrouped, delivered 4 wins in 5 races, and clinched the crown after Hamilton's engine failure in Malaysia. One of the greatest comebacks, born directly from collapse. Or go back to 2021. Max Verstappen looked untouchable until a violent crash at Silverstone reignited Hamilton's championship fight. Within a few weeks, Hamilton produced one of the most relentless comebacks in F1 history. 3 straight wins in Brazil, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, to arrive at the Abu Dhabi finale dead level on points. The world watched 2 titans trading blows until the very last lap of the very last race, in one of the sport's most controversial endings. Even legends like Mika Häkkinen weren't immune to collapse. In 1999, with Michael Schumacher injured, Häkkinen should have had an easy path to his second title. Instead, he spun out while leading in Italy, lost critical points through mechanical failures, and nearly handed the championship to Ferrari's Eddie Irvine. Only a masterful final race in Suzuka saved his crown. Michael Schumacher himself suffered a mid-season meltdown in 2000. 3 retirements in a row turned a dominant lead into a deficit against Häkkinen, who overtook him at Spa in one of F1's most iconic passes. But Schumacher refused to break, responding with 4 consecutive victories to finally deliver Ferrari its first driver's title in 21 years. More recently, even the unstoppable Red Bull faced a major wobble in 2024. After crushing the 2023 season, Verstappen's dominance faltered once McLaren introduced its revolutionary upgrade. Lando Norris closed to within 48 points as Verstappen cracked under pressure, clashing with rivals, picking up penalties and showing shades of 2021 frustration. But as always, the Dutchman recovered when it mattered, sealing the championship with one of his greatest wins in a rain-soaked Brazil. And then there's Jenson Button's 2009 fairy tale. 6 wins in 7 races, followed by 10 rounds of struggle as Brawn GP's development stalled. Rivals closed in fast, and Button's confidence wavered. Yet he found just enough composure to finish the job and claim his first and only title. So, can Max Verstappen do it again? History says it's never easy, but if there's one driver built for the impossible, it's him. The numbers may say no, but his mentality says otherwise. He's been here before, under pressure, surrounded by rivals, with the world watching. And each time, he's answered the same way, by winning. The comeback isn't guaranteed, but when Verstappen starts hunting, Formula One tends to rewrite its history books.